Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are doing great today. In today's lesson, we're going to look at another way to manage our storage space. Specifically, we'll look at how to reclaim space. Over time, when you perform updates and delete operations on objects within any table space, these operations can create pockets of empty spaces, okay, that individually are very small. They are not large enough, to be used for new data. However, a combination of these smaller spaces, smaller empty spaces, will take up memory in your database. This type of small space is referred to as fragmented free space. One of the disadvantages of having this kind of fragmented free space is the fact that it can actually impact your database performance. A critical example is when someone is running a query. Now, because those spaces are there in your tables, if no index is used, the scan will go through the entire table to be able to return your query output, and this might cause some sort of performance degradation on your database. So what is the preferred method to actually solve this problem? To be able to reclaim space, you need to perform what is known as an online segment shrink. In a nutshell, you need to shrink your table. Now, there are basically two types of statements to shrink your table. The first one is the alter table, table name, and then shrink space compact. This one does not have a high impact. So yes, it can be executed while, workers are still connected. But the second one, alter table, table name, shrink space. This one has a very high impact and should be executed probably at night when, database users are probably closed for the day. Now, because these shrink operations may cause your row IDs to change, there's one requirement that must be met, and that requirement is very simple. You must enable row movement on the segment before executing any kind of shrink operation. By default, row movement is disabled at segment level. For you to be able to identify segments that will need shrinking, you will need to use the segment advisor. And this is what we want to talk about in today's lecture. Now, the segment advisor can be called up automatically or can be called up manually. But for today, we'll be looking at the manual method on how to do this. In a future lecture, when we look at how to navigate our Enterprise Manager Database Express, then I'll show you how to invoke the segment advisor automatically, right? Okay, so let's jump right onto my screen and then let me walk you through the process. As usual, I've been able to script the entire commands and statements I'll be using for this exercise so we don't spend so much time typing. I'll just run you through the process. So let me start by creating this table space, TBS trash. We should be used to the create table space statement by now. So I'll just create this. And then you can see that TBS trash has been created successfully. And then the next thing we want to do is to run the select statement like we did in our previous lesson, okay, to try to get the percentage free and all whatnot. So for that, I'll execute this query. And then you can see that the table space is 98% free. So the next thing we want to do is to create a table in this table space. So for that, I'll execute this create table statement. You can see the table has been created successfully. Now, the next thing I want to do is to insert 1 million records into the table. And for that, we'll use a PL/SQL code. We cannot start inserting 1 million records right now. It will take a whole lot of time before it completes. So let me just execute this PL/SQL code. So as we can see, the PL/SQL procedure has been completed successfully, right? So the next thing we want to do is to select the percentage free and a couple of other details by running this query now. We executed this query in our previous video, so I'll execute this again, and then you can see that the table is 34% free. Okay, that means we've used up to 66% of the table space. All right, so the next thing we want to do now is to delete all the data from that table. That's what we want to do now. So for that, I'll execute this, delete, and you can see 1 million rows deleted. Now let me commit this statement. That's to save the changes. So commit complete. Now, if I run this query again, you will observe that the structure of the table is still there and is still showing as though we have data on that table, right? So let me execute this query, and then you see that the table space is still 34% free, even though we've deleted data from the table. So for us to reclaim this space, we will need to create a task, a segment advisor task. Now, this is also a PL/SQL package, okay, and is also a standard code that you can copy and use in your environment. The only thing you will need to modify is the name of the task name description, which is this get shrink advice for segments in table space name, and then you also modify the table space name, but every other thing you can leave as it is, or you can tweak it to suit your own purpose. Okay, so let me execute this now. Now the procedure has been completed successfully. So what we need to do now is to execute the advisor task. We've created the task already for the package. So we need to execute the task. To execute the task, we'll do this. Execute this one. We've passed already the task name to the block. So if I execute this, you see again that the PL/SQL procedure successfully completed. Now we have to select the details from this view, DBA_advisor_task, right? So that we can get the details. So for that, I will execute this query, and then you can see the description, get shrink advice for segments in this table space. So to get the shrink advice, we would run this query. Again, we are querying from two tables, from a dictionary view known as DBA_advisor_findings and DBA_advisor_objects. So if we execute this query, you can see the advice from the segment advisor. First, it gives you the details of the admin user and then the table name, and then it says enable row movement of the table TBS pdb_admin.com05 and perform shrink. And then it gives you an estimated saving. If you perform this operation, you'll be able to save this much. So let's see how it goes. Now we're going to alter the table and then enable row movement. Remember, I told you before you perform the shrink operation, you need to enable row movement. And that's because shrink operation normally changes your row ID. Okay, so we'll execute this command, alter table comp05 enable row movement. You can see the table has been altered. Then we will now execute this statement again, alter table comp05 shrink space. Table has been altered. Now if we execute this query we executed earlier to get the percentage free, you'll see that we've been able to save so much. We're now having 97.875% free. So you see how to reclaim space that is empty in your database. So guys, thank you for watching this video. I hope it was interesting to you. If it was, kindly like it and share it widely. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out whenever I upload another valuable content. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.